cracking, you conspiracy theorists? I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report Direct Message for today, September 29th, 2021. And before we do anything else, I normally don't throw to a video clip this quickly, but I'm going to do it today. Nancy Pelosi, just in the last hour, has come out as a white supremacist.
Not about a dollar amount. The dollar amount, as the president said, is zero. This bill will be paid for.
White supremacist Nancy Pelosi, and if that's not disturbing enough, just in and of itself, that Nancy Pelosi is a white supremacist, I think we have to show you the video again. Her hand appears to be alien-like.
Not about a dollar amount. The dollar amount, as the president said, is zero. This bill will be paid for.
So there you have it, people. Nancy Pelosi is not only a white supremacist, but also an alien. Breaking news. We got 4 stories for you. You guys know Greta Thunberg. She's the little angry girl who's lecturing us all about the climate. Well, she gave a big speech yesterday, and man, she is angry, and the horrible things that she would love to do to all of us normal people, all of us non-believers in her lunacy. We're going to show you a clip on that. Then there is a clip going viral on the interweb of Stephen Colbert. You know this guy? He's one of the 5 or 6 clone-like late-night hosts who are all straight white men, by the way, on these networks. They always tell us how racist we are and, patriarchy and all that, but they never give up their multi-million-dollar jobs or anything like that. But there's this clip of this Colbert fella dancing around while singing a vaccination song. And I saw the clip, and it's so horrible that I thought I'm going to show it to my audience. That's how horrible it is. We'll show you that in just a minute. Then some really interesting stuff. We did 2 videos yesterday of NBA players talking about vaccines in a very thoughtful, evolved, decent kind of way. And we're going to show you some a former NBA player talking about it in a non-evolved, decent kind of way. And we're going to juxtapose yesterday's video with the video I'm going to show you today of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then finally, if you didn't get enough of Nancy Pelosi, right up top, alien white supremacist Nancy Pelosi, we got another story about her. Before we get to any of that, I want to talk to you guys about Uprising Food. You guys all know how much I love food. And for those of you who have been tuning into my show over the past couple of years, you know that I've had various guests who've talked about how our food system is fundamentally broken and making us sick at scale. Fortunately, the people at Uprising Food are fixing that. Uprising's mission is to liberate all of us from a broken food system that's stealing our health. They've cracked the code on healthy bread. You simply can't find something this healthy that tastes this good, that's this fresh. I received the starter bundle, and apparently my staff devoured all the chips. With only 2 net carbs per serving, 6 grams of protein, and 9 grams of fiber, Uprising Food covers paleo to clean keto to simple low carb to high fiber to dairy-free to grain-free lifestyles. All Uprising products are baked with real superfood ingredients: almonds, MCT oil, apple cider vinegar, egg white, psyllium husk, and olive oil. Uprising has absolutely nailed the taste factor on both of their sourdough-esque cubes and the crunch factor on their newly launched Freedom Chips, love the name, which sounds like those old school, or which tastes like those old school rye chips. You will absolutely dig. Uprising is offering our listeners $10 off the starter bundle. That includes 2 superfood cubes and 4 packs of Freedom Chips. To try, go to uprisingfood.com/Rubin, and the discount will automatically be applied at checkout. That's Uprising, UPRISING, food.com/Rubin to get $10 off your first purchase of the starter bundle. And now back to me. Should we show that? Let's show the Pelosi thing one more time. I mean, they're always telling us we're white supremacists, we're signaling. Well, we showed yesterday that Biden, when he was talking about his $3.5 trillion thing is going to cost zero, he did one of these. And one more time with the Pelosi thing.
Not about a dollar amount. The dollar amount, as the president said, is zero. This bill.
Her hand actually looks like the tentacle of the alien from Independence Day, I'm pretty certain. Anyway, let's move on to Greta Thunberg. You all know Greta Thunberg. Greta, how dare you, Thunberg. This is a young woman who the left and the sort of mainstream establishment has decided is the end-all be-all when it comes to climate change, and she really hates everyone before her for doing horrible things to the earth, and only if we gave her and her cohorts enough power and money, they could convert us all into wonderful green super beings, something to that effect. Anyway, yesterday she was giving a speech at the Youth for Climate event, and I thought this was worth playing. Not that I really want to pay any attention to her, but really not only listen to her, but the tone and the tenor, the look on her face and everything else. And I think it sort of belies something much more dangerous beneath it. Take a look.
There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. This is not about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging or blah, blah, blah. Build back better, blah, blah, blah. Green economy, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Net zero, blah, blah, blah. Climate neutral, blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words. Words that sound great, but so far has led to no action. Our hopes and dreams drown in their empty words and promises. Of course, we need constructive dialogue, but they've now had 30 years of blah, 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 and where has that led us? What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now.
Okay, I don't even think I have to address anything that she said there in her blah, blah, blah speech, but I wanted to show it because of the tone and the anger, and then the masked clones all applauding her at the end as she's telling us how everyone before her are basically evil. That's what she's saying. They've had their chance, now our chance. Now it's our chance. Like, just imagine if this girl had enough power, the horrible things that she would do to people. Like, I am not going to be the only one who could see like little sort of imagery of Hitler speaking up there, right? Like there was these people that think that they can control the world, and if you just gave them enough money and enough power, they could do it. Man, we have unearthed something so horrible by our elite class and our intellectual class being so dishonest with us for so long. We have unleashed something that basically every Western nation is under attack from every which direction. But that anger of that little girl, it's just disturbing. Anyway, I wanted to just show you that because it's just like, where are the adults? We need some adults, which actually is a perfect segue to a guy who's absolutely not an adult. And I'm going to owe you an apology after this. So this Stephen Colbert clip was going viral today. This is from his show last night. It's him dancing around with vaccines. It's about a minute long. That's all we're going to show you. And I just want to apologize in advance for this. All right, so I want to be very clear about something. First off, I do apologize for showing that. Secondly, if you thought anything there was enlightening or interesting or funny, I henceforth ban you from watching this program. We can't have people like you, the unsullied. We can't have you watching this show. What you might have found interesting about that was not any of the it's so gross. It's just so gross. Imagine if Trump was president and the entire political and media machine supported Trump's ideas, and there were dancing vaccinated people around a late night host. They would be, everyone else would be screaming that this is government propaganda. I mean, all right, you guys get all that. But did you notice that no one in the audience is wearing a mask? Now, I have no doubt they forced them all to be vaccinated, and I think they shoot that in New York City. That's in the old Letterman building, if I'm not mistaken, the old Ed Sullivan Theater. So I'm sure they had to show their vaccine passport. But we are being told that people with vaccines are still getting sick. They're still transmitting it. Old Joe Biden, when he was getting his booster shot on that theater set yesterday or the day before, he was wearing a mask while the other guy was wearing a mask. This is all by design, this intentionally confusing messaging where some people can be vaccinated, some people don't have to be vaccinated, some people can wear masks, rich people can go to Met Gala events like AOC and not be masked while the workers have to be masked. You know, they're going to scream that vaccines, now you need booster shots, but they'll have an audience full of people that are not wearing masks, and yet if there was an anti-vax rally, they'd scream that it was a super spreader event, or if there was just any political rally that wasn't a lefty political rally. But I'd more broadly talk about this ridiculous clip just to show you how horrible mainstream comedy has become. These people, that man thinks he's a comedian, and Jimmy Kimmel, blackface Jimmy Kimmel, thinks he's a comedian. And last week, by the way, I think some of you know this, Greg Gutfeld, I was on Greg Gutfeld's show on Wednesday night in New York City. I believe on Thursday night, or it might have even been on Wednesday night. It was Wednesday night, or it was Wednesday night. On the very same night that I was on Greg Gutfeld's show, all of the late night show hosts, except for Gutfeld, so talking about Colbert and Kimmel, and who's the fat guy on CBS, that Australian kid, or Corden or Carden, or whatever his name is, and Trevor Noah on The Daily Show that nobody watches anymore, but you're not allowed to say that, otherwise you'd be called racist. They all did a climate night, and it was just an abject disaster. Nobody watched it. Meanwhile, I was on Gutfeld that night, and Gutfeld, Greg Gutfeld, he's got about 5 people that work for his show. I mean, I know the show pretty intimately. They got a makeup girl, he's got like one writer, they got a booker, all great people, fantastic people. They're crushing it. They are #1 in late night because you've basically got a bunch of leftist clones who only know how to preach to the choir, and Gutfeld doing a largely unscripted show that's edgy and kind of fun and a little sort of off the wall and ridiculous is now #1 in late night. So anyway, I do apologize for having to taken that minute of your life away. Again, if you thought it was interesting or funny or informative in any way, you cannot watch this show anymore. I can't have people like you watching this show. All right, we're plowing through today. Story number 3. You know these clowns over at CNN, this Chris Cuomo guy and this Don Lemon guy? Well, they actually confess through projection more than any duo in the history of the world. Every time they're talking about someone else, they're actually talking about themselves. Don't believe me? Take a look.
But there are a lot of things that are felonious that you're letting get by just because it works for your business model.
Yeah.
And the time has come for them. We have to flip it and show us that you can't do what you're being asked to do.
The most egregious of it all, though, is what you said. It's the people who have the biggest platform on social media. And
they're all righties.
They're all righties. All of them are righties. And listen, even in, if you want to call it legacy media, even some of the conservative media, they do the same thing. They have no real protocol. They have no real structure in what they say what they want. They put headlines and things and write about things.
They say it's opinion.
Yeah,
this is all opinion.
But that most people, we would never even put it on, give it the light of day because
that's because
number one,
we have news accountability.
That's
the Fox farce. The whole nighttime lineup is entertainment.
All right, but Fox and social media, they said then they shouldn't put news behind it. And social media should do the same thing. They should not just be able to put things out there and with and
because
face
they
no
know.
consequences.
God, they are such liars, right? Like, that's confession through projection. They are saying exactly what they do. They lie for ratings to make money and keep everyone in a constant state of panic and anger. And then they project, no, it's only the other people doing it, right? It's only Fox that does that. It's only those righties on social media. I mean, they obviously are threatened by people like me. Like, that's just how it is. You people watching this have at least half a brain. We've done polls, and it turns out that half of my people have half a brain. You can crunch the numbers on that. But they lie about absolutely everything. I mean, these are the same people who lied. I mean, you guys all know this, right? They lied about the Covington kids being racist. They lied about Brett Kavanaugh being a serial rapist. They lied about the Russia hoax. They lied about Jussie Smollett. They lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. That's all they do. They do it for business and for political purposes and to brainwash the masses. I do not sit here and pretend that I am a journalist. I wake up in the morning, I send a couple stories to my producer, Michael. He sends a couple stories back to me. We talk about it for a little bit, and I say, all right, these are the 3 or 4 things that I want to give an opinion on today, right? I'm not telling you I'm fact-finding in the field and pretending that I'm a journalist, but those guys are pretending that they're journalists. They're TV people who put on a jacket, right? So they look kind of professional. They put on ties, too. I could put on a tie, and I could get fake newsman glasses, like, well, Bill Maher's wearing them now, but like Anderson Cooper or the rest of them. And they pretend that they're journalists, but they're actually activists and not really journalists. So they lie about everything. What I thought was really interesting there is the threat part. So Fox, they're saying, has no journalistic integrity, but they somehow do. I have no doubt that if we were calling it pound for pound, like if we were just like really racking up big lie and big narrative in terms of who's doing more lying, there's no doubt that CNN is doing more lying on a day-to-day basis than Fox is. And Fox does put on counter voices as well. But I'm not even making it about that. I mean, the more interesting part of this is that what Lemon was saying there at the end, you know, these righties on social media, they're allowed to just say whatever they want. And now we've got the interesting part of this. You don't like the competition. And if only big tech could help you shut down some of our voices, then you would have a monopoly on truth, wouldn't you, Lemon? I mean, these people are just absolutely ridiculous. But listen to them when they say what they mean. They think they're journalists. They think they have a monopoly on truth. And they are hinting to the overlords, take out the competition. And I have no doubt that as time goes by, you know, as we constantly see the divide of truth getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that chasm between what is true and what we're allowed to talk about, as that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the narrative continues to collapse, they are going to have to ban more of us, right? They are going to have to shadow ban and algorithmically depress things and deboost and re-rank and all of the crazy Orwellian terms that you now all know. They're going to have to do more and more of that because too many of us are questioning things, right? That's what we talked about yesterday. Like, you're allowed to still ask questions. These people don't want you asking questions. They want you to hear their fake stories and hear them read their fake stories and for you to believe it. That's not really what I want to do. It really is not. Man, these guys, it's just bad news. Stop watching CNN. There's your clip for today. Okay, we got one more for you. So, you know, yesterday, we played these 2 videos from NBA players, Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards and Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic, talking about vaccines. And the video by Jonathan Isaac was particularly interesting, I thought, because he's very calm and measured. He talks about being young and physically fit and having COVID and natural antibodies. He talks about personal choice. He really does it in a sort of evolved, interesting way. We showed you an extended clip of it yesterday, but I want to just show you about a 30-second clip of it right now.
What is it about the vaccine that makes you hesitant to get it?
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity, has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic, and is still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessary.
Okay, so if you want to watch the more extended version of that, we played it yesterday. The reason I'm playing it again today is because obviously what you're seeing there is a thoughtful, interesting individual who is non-judgmental, trying to talk about this stuff in a calm way. Well, now we've got, and I hate to show you a clip from Don Lemon's show, former NBA superstar and co-pilot of the plane in airplane, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, talking about unvaccinated NBA players. And I want you to listen to the difference in tone and tenor of what he's saying.
I think they should be disciplined. I don't think that they are behaving like good teammates or good citizens. This is a war that we're involved in, and masks and vaccines, they are the weapons that we use to fight this war. And when you're not going to be cooperative with that, you're working against the effort to make everybody safe. And, we can't have that. That doesn't work for everybody.
I'm actually really sad to say this. You know I'm an old school NBA fan, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is just a ridiculous human being at this point. What Jonathan Isaac said there was true. And again, watch the more extended version of it from yesterday's show if you want. And it was thoughtful. What Kareem is saying is do what we want. It doesn't matter if you have immunity already. It doesn't matter if you're young and healthy and eat right and any of that stuff. Do what we want because we want you to do it. And if you don't do it, you're not a good person. Now, I would like to know, and maybe Kareem or Don Lemon could do a little research on this, how many NBA players have transmitted COVID to other NBA players during the games where they're often sweating on each other and spitting on each other, and you can go to block a shot and your nails could get on somebody and they start bleeding. Was there a massive outbreak by NBA players, young person to young person? The peak of physical performance, that's what the shape that these guys are in. Did that ever happen? But Kareem doesn't care about that because we're watching this sort of massive brain experiment happening to everybody where everyone seemingly, that is mainstream at this point, just wants to go along with what they are told. So it does not matter. The same people who will tell you that they believe in science, which is why Kareem, I suppose, believes in the vaccine and the masks and all that. He'll tell you he believes in science. Well, why isn't he then talking about young, healthy people and people who have had COVID and natural immunity and everything else? But he wants you to be a good person. And speaking of good people, you're not going to believe this. We found video of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar saying the complete reverse when it had to do with people protesting about racial justice.
I'm really pleased to see the diversity of all the people that have taken to the streets and have not gone home. That to me is extraordinary. I never thought I'd live to see that, and I'm glad to see that a very diverse cross-section of America understands that, systemic racism, it's a cancer, and we can't live with it, and we have to figure out ways to eliminate it.
You get what we just did there? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was very excited when all sorts of people, some wearing masks, some weren't, were protesting against systemic racism. He liked that diverse cross-section of people getting out there and about to protest racism, tear down America, down with the patriarchy. But now that we're not really talking about systemic racism anymore, right? We've got Biden in charge, and it's not Trump anymore, so we're not a racist country anymore, I suppose, something like that. We're not rioting in that regard anymore. That would be too much to handle. Biden solved racism, I suppose. But now he's lecturing NBA players who are young, thoughtful. In this case, the two guys, the videos that I played yesterday, two young black men who I believe are entitled to their opinion. He thinks they're bad people. So when it was for racial justice, which he's for, then get out there, folks, spread the disease, be a good human, diversity. And when it ain't, you're a bad person. Kareem, you're a bad person. Sorry, I don't know how else to look at it. If you think things only spread, if you think viruses only spread when it fits your political narrative, the problem is on you. There's a virus in your head that's far worse than the COVID virus. Actually, we are going to do one more story. I just remembered we threw to that Pelosi clip up top. We've got a little more on Pelosi because every now and again, our public leaders say things that they're not supposed to say. They say the quiet part out loud, as I referenced yesterday with that movie Wizard of Oz and the Munchkins, and I'm not going to get into that whole Munchkin orgy thing again because I'm sure many of you left and then an hour of your life was sucked away. But Nancy Pelosi just sort of slipped. This is just a very subtle slip in what she's saying here. Well, you listen.
Keep government open. We have to do those imminently. Even to address the full Obama agenda of building back better and I love to say building back better.
Nancy, you just said the quiet part out loud. You do know that Joe Biden is the guy that we're supposed to think is president and in charge of everything? Allow me to quote her. Keep government open to address the full Obama agenda of building back better. She meant Biden, but she said Obama. And, you know, often this is now coming up all the time because anyone with half a brain realizes that Biden is not in charge, right? He's just not. He's the figurehead that they put out there to read often poorly off the teleprompter and mumble and stumble through anything that he's doing. But you are now seeing what this really is about. And this is about Obama basically getting a third term. It's Obama's agenda of building back better. It's strange. I remember those 8 years when Obama was president. Did he ever say building back better? I don't think so. But he did once say, I'm sure many of you have seen the interview where he said he would love to have a third term. He knows he can't have a third term, so he'd love to just pull the strings from behind. So every now and again, they tell you exactly what they're doing. So if you wonder where this radical, crazy, leftist, progressive, ever-expanding state, $3.5 trillion equals zero, more and more climate shutdowns and masks and lockdowns and mandates and everyone will be vaxxed. And now we just saw this morning, I just saw it before we started, that the administration is going to start punishing companies that don't make sure that all of their employees are vaccinated. We'll see if they start with, you know, companies at 100 people or 50 people or 1,000 people, who knows what they're going to do. But you know that that'll keep moving. Once they get it to 100 people, they'll get it to 50 people and 25 people and 10 people. And they literally won't let you work alone. If you work alone remotely in your basement, they will come for you too. So this has something to do with Barack Obama and his third term. I don't think that is a conspiracy theory. Nancy Pelosi said it right there. Obama's Build Back Better, and Obama himself said he wanted a third term. Ugh, these people are gross. Guys, I'm in a new PragerU doc that came out this morning. It's called Restricted, How Big Tech is Taking Away Your Freedom. You can watch it right now at prageru.com. Also, part 2 of my interview with Jack Posobiec is up on the YouTube. We talk all about China, about all the stuff that I'm always talking about here. We kind of do a little of everything, including a little Star Wars stuff. Oh, and on Friday, I am excited. We are going to do a little bit of a IDW reunion. You know, the IDW basically, which sort of caught the world on fire, and much of it was sort of, you know, basically founded and took place in my garage. It sort of imploded. I think there's many reasons for that, but there are a couple people that were associated with it that I think are still doing some good work. Gad Saad will be joining me on Friday, Michael Shermer, and we have a call out to 1 or 2 other people. So we're going to get a little bit of the old band back together and see what happens. So I hope you'll tune in for that. As I said a couple times in the last few days, we now do live chat on my locals community during the show. So if you want to text, chat with people, because we don't do the live chat on YouTube because it's just a bot and troll fest. So if you want to chat with other sane human beings, actual real people, you can join us at rubinreport.locals.com, and you can do it from your desktop or you can download the Locals app. Later today, I'm interviewing Blake Masters, who's running for Senate in Arizona. Looking forward to talking to him. He's big on fighting the big tech monster, making sure elections are secure, you know, real crazy right-wing stuff. And then I got a couple media hits and some other stuff to do. What, do I have to tell you everything I'm doing all day long? Okay, you know. All right, guys, have a great day. See you tomorrow.